Today we're building a steampunk lighthouse using the Createmod. This build will require a lot of copper and does incorporate a beacon, so I would consider this a late game build. I'm Uberswe and this is build 24 of my 30-day Createmod build challenge, where I do 30 different builds with each build taking no more than one real life day, and each build has to fit inside this 25 by 25 plot. I also make sure that my builds are survival friendly and work with the base Createmod. There's no need to go looking for add-ons. These builds should work for older versions of Create as well as the current 6.0 version, and they'll most likely keep working in future versions too. I began by making the base for the lighthouse. This is just a small outcropping of stone, and I left it hollow on the inside. I'm switching between stone, cobblestone, and andesite. Next, I started building the lighthouse itself. I'm using waxed exposed copper as my main building block, and then using waxed weathered copper blocks to create a stripe that goes up and around the entire structure. As I go around the structure, I'm sometimes adding random dents by making blocks go in earlier. I also create segments where most of the tower gets one block shorter in radius. When I shorten the radius, I also make the stripe a bit thinner as well. This stripe is meant to resemble places where old paint used to be that has caused the copper to weather differently in those areas. After finishing the tower, I built a smaller room made out of spruce that connects to the main tower structure. This will serve as the entrance to the lighthouse. So I have gone through and decorated the lighthouse a little bit, and now we're going to look at all the mechanics of how everything works that relates to Create. I'll also be linking to a free schematic in the description below if you have trouble following along, so you can import this into like a creative world and you can look at everything I've done and copy me exactly. So let's head inside. The first thing you'll see as you come in is I've left this space here with some campfires. This is where we're going to put our steam engine, and that's going to be powered by a large water wheel. And that's actually like powering the entire build. It's just this large water wheel. And if you're importing the schematics, this is the most likely thing that's going to break, and you'll probably need to put like water down to make everything work. The water wheel goes right here, right under this gearbox here, and you'll need to place some water right here. Then over on this side, this is going to be powering a pump right here, and I've kind of left a little bit of a pipe up here just as a reference, but we'll make this pipe go down here, and then our mechanical pump is going to be right here, and then we flip that, because right now we don't want water upstairs, but we got water up there anyways, I see. Yeah, for the time being, you can flip it like this so that it's actually not outputting water until we have a steam engine upstairs. For now, we're going to have to go up here and we're going to have to take care of this mess. Oops. There we go. Interesting that the water didn't like put out the campfires. I thought they were supposed to do that. Maybe you need a shovel to actually put them out. But yeah, so our water wheel's working, our pump is working, but we reversed the flow right now. And then to make our steam engine, we're just gonna put our boilers like this, and we're gonna do a 3x3, just like this. And as long as you have enough fluid tanks in your inventory, you can actually, even in survival, you can like click like this and it's gonna do another 3x3 section automatically. And then you can kind of like do that all the way up. And we kind of want this to like stick out of the roof as we go up. So we're just going to make this go up to about right there. And then currently this is just a fluid tank right now, but in order to turn it into like a boiler for a steam engine, we just need to place a steam engine on top of it like so. And that's actually going to turn this into a boiler. And you can actually see the boiler status right now. It's not getting enough water, so it's actually not functioning. But once we give it some water, it will start rotating. So for our steam engine, we are going to put a shaft on top of it. Oh, I'm actually a little bit too high, so we need to remove one layer here. And then we'll place down our steam engine like so. And then we'll put a shaft right there. Now, if this is rotated the wrong way, then you can just take a wrench and right click, and that will rotate the direction of the steam engine. So now everything's hooked up. We just need to give this water. And in here, we can now right click on our fluid pump here, and our steam engine should now get some water. You can see the water is flowing through here, and we can actually see that it is now a passive steam engine with 2048 SU being generated. Also, I have these pipes for like decoration, so I think we can just click and remove those. These don't serve a purpose and they don't cause any issues. They're just there for decoration. And same thing out here, we can check. This is another decorative pipe. It doesn't actually do anything. And up here we can see that our flywheel is now spinning. Our steam engine is rotating and it's powering this belt, which is going inside. And that belt is going to be powering this wheel right here. Also keep in mind that you can decorate fluid pipes with copper casing completely for free. Even in survival, the casing won't get used. Now for the wheel, it's using a bunch of stairs and copycat blocks with cut deep slate. And I also threw in some brass blocks in here for decoration. And I also put this shaft here with like a metal bracket, and it's connected to another metal bracket back here. So you have this shaft that goes over here and it connects to the wheel. And this is gonna spin to make it look like it's actually a shaft that's either being powered by the wheel or it is powering the wheel itself. I guess the most logical thing is that it would actually be powering the wheel. For our purposes, it doesn't actually serve a purpose, it's just for decoration. But the fun thing here is that if you have one mechanical bearing like this, you can see how I have glued it. So we have one mechanical bearing that is rotating this shaft with the bracket here, and it has this mechanical bearing on top of it. And when you have two bearings like this, then this bearing is going to keep the rotation, like it's going to keep the original rotation. So you get kind of a cool movement here. So this is like one glued piece and it's not connected to this piece, it's separate. And this piece is also separate from the wheel. Like nothing is actually glued together. These are all like three separate pieces and they're all gonna move and they get powered by the steam engine. So we actually, I guess if we remove a little bit here, maybe we have to remove a lot. But yeah, it's getting powered by this belt that goes up here. And basically I have a gearbox here and I'll put another gearbox here, but I have a gearbox here which will power both sides. So you have one mechanical bearing here spinning the wheel, and then you have the mechanical bearing over here which is spinning this part, and they're both connected here. And if we flip this lever here, we have two clutches, one clutch here and one clutch here, and they're going to stop the power. So we can put a gearbox right here, and now we can see that this is actually powered. And if we flip that lever, then this should all start moving together as one piece. So there we go. And if we go outside here, we can now see that the shaft looks like it's actually rotating the wheel. So there you go. That's kind of a cool feature of Create that you can do that. You also have the movement that I was talking about, which is a little bit special with the mechanical bearings. I use this for like Ferris wheels, for example. If you want to have seats on a Ferris wheel, you want to keep them upright because you want people to like sit on them or something like that, then you can use this mechanic for that as well. Now it is clipping into the wall a little bit. I just couldn't avoid that in a nice way, so we'll have to live with that. But otherwise, I think this is working really well. And like I said, the full schematic is in the description below. So if you want to like take this into a creative world and like play around with it and learn how this works, feel free to. And if you have any questions, do let me know in the comments down below. I'd be happy to help. Now for this build, I'm using a very simple elevator design. So you can see I have my redstone elevator contact up here, and we're just going to build some stairs like this, you see, and that kind of creates the floor for the elevator. And then we're going to put a copycat panel like so on the inside. And then we're going to need some contraption controls right here. And then we're going to have another copycat panel right there. And we're going to go up one, put that there. And we're going to go up one and put that there. And then up here, we're going to do some more stairs like this. And that's our elevator. So very, very simple, very small. And then we're going to have a redstone contact right here. And then we need to glue this onto our elevator. And then we can just glue the entire elevator just like so. Now we do need to go up all the way to our elevator pulley here in order to activate this. So we should just be able to right click here. And now our elevator should be assembled. And if we go on here, we can now select the floor. So we can go up to floor 1. just like that. And the way I powered this is I just used the same power that we have from outside. So, you know, we have the power coming in here via the belt into our speed controller. And then this power here is just going straight up to our roof. And then I'm using some gears here to speed it up. So we're going large cog to small cog, which is powering this large cog, which is powering another small cog here. So that is doubling and then doubling our speed again. So it's going much faster. And that's going up here, and that's powering this elevator pulley here. Now, one last feature added to this lighthouse was this glass block here. It's actually a place where you can put a beacon underneath. And then you just need 9 iron blocks to kind of activate this. If you're actually going to use this for like buffs and stuff, you probably want to expand this to be an even larger beacon. But for now, we just need the base beacon. This is not activating right now because we don't have a clear way all the way up to the sky. So let's go ahead and go upstairs and look at that. Up here on the roof, you can see that I have this daylight detector, and we also have this waxed weathered copper block. So when I do time set midnight, you can see that our beam actually activates. And then if we do time set 6500, which is like noon, then our beacon is turning off. And the way that works is this daylight sensor here is just giving power to this gear shift here, which is in itself getting power from that shaft that's going up here. So we just have the gear shift. A gear shift changes rotation to go either forwards or backwards, depending on if it has a redstone signal or not. And this daylight detector is giving a redstone signal when there's daylight, and it stops giving a signal when there's night. So if we do midnight again, you can see that it's going to turn off, and this sticky mechanical piston is going to move that copper block back here. And then when we turn it back to day again, you can see that it activates and it shuts off the beacon. And also here upstairs, I don't think I showed this in my time lapse, but I did decorate a little bit up here. So in here we have just glowstone on copycat blocks, and then I just left empty copycat blocks here. I didn't do anything with them. And then here we just have copycat panels with frame glass on it. And here are copycat panels with different oxidized copper types here. And then out here, we just have some fence so you can walk around and like enjoy the view of the rest of my 30-day builds. So this is build 24. So it's actually starting to turn into like a little town here, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. I also put this tank here on the outside. And one thing that kind of looks like fluid that would be like an oil or something is actually chocolate. So you can actually right click on this to fill it with chocolate if you are in creative mode. However, if you're in survival, you probably want to use a pump, maybe with a cog and a hand crank or some other power source, and then an item drain. And then you can, put the chocolate into the item drain like so. And then you can use, let's see, this needs to be pointing towards the tank. And then you can use the hand crank to actually fill the tank up with chocolate. So it takes a little bit more time in survival, but definitely doable. And then if you fill this up to like 15 buckets of chocolate, then it kind of looks like you got some oil stored in here, and that adds to the overall aesthetic of the build. To everyone still watching, thank you. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a like and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more of my content. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time.